Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to take on the two latest stages, and the four latest difficulties of the Extreme Z Area Special Characters Edition. So these two stages were added for the Butoden Goku and the Butoden Vegeta, and there's quite a big character limit on who you can take to this stage. And to be honest with you, it's incredibly difficult. If you don't have the two summonable units, and if you do not have the pan, you can struggle quite a bit in finishing this. I have done the video without the pan and the summonable units, just to kind of, show people they can be done. But yeah, it is quite difficult. So in terms of these missions, they're pretty straightforward. Finish the stage 10 times on each one, and then do each difficulty. So nothing too crazy in terms of difficulty of the missions, but the actual stages themselves are surprisingly quite challenging. I don't really mind them being quite challenging. The Goku and the Vegeta are both exceptionally good. They're great free-to-play units, and they're going to really help out a lot of people who need stopgaps and a lot of teams. They have decent link sets. They obviously link decently with most Saiyans because they have prepared for battle. So overall, I don't mind how difficult the stage is. I just think the, not necessity, but the heavy need to have B-Pan can be a little bit taxing on players who are a bit newer and who don't have the necessary cards. So this first strategy that I do right here is a terrible strategy. Literally probably one of the worst things that you can do, because I don't stack any kind of buffs or anything. I just try and hope in getting a lot of orbs with each character and nuking down the Vegeta or the Goku, which, to be honest with you, just doesn't work as a strategy. If you could choose to have the another Candy Vegeta as your second card, then probably it would work quite well, but overall it just wasn't a good idea, mainly because of the intense lack of ki that came across most units. A lot of them couldn't super, a lot of them just took a lot of damage because, well, they're not supering, they're not getting a lot of extra stats because they're not getting a lot of orbs. Candy Vegeta is very necessary. So in terms of the units that you will need for this stage, you will need the Trunks, you will need him, you will need to rainbow him, you will need the Candy Vegeta, you will need the Bulma more than likely. You will obviously need both the Goku and the Vegeta because they have to be in the category for the team. And then you will need, debatable, but you will definitely need ghost tanks, and then you can fill up with whoever. If you have the summonable units, if you have either the strength or physical go tanks, please be my guest and use them. They are very good and they will help you out a lot with this stage. If you do not have them, however, then you're just going to have to roll with the team that I have placed out here. This is probably the best team you can make without B-Pan, without a summonable unit. Well, the next team I make is probably the best team you could make because this team is shocking. The main reason being is that we just don't have a high enough health pool with Candy Vegeta as leader, because we don't have that extra HP from the leader passives. So yeah, but it's good to obviously show failures because that's very important. So the reason why we switch in the agility Trunks as lead is because most of the category is youth, and then we can switch Bulma in for the Grandpa Gohan and the Panjul. They're a very good card. They would have been nice for this category. It's a shame that they are not on the youth category, because that would have helped us quite a bit, but at the same time, what can you do? You can't really control these things, and a lot of the time we can still cope without it, as we do here in these videos. I definitely suggest taking Candy Vegeta. His evasion, even without falling under the leader skills, his evasion is going to be so reliable and solid. And if you build him into additionals like I did, he will get a decent amount of attacks and deal decent damage, especially to the Vegeta. he will be a great help there. The problem you're going to find with this team build that I have is definitely going to be the Goku stage. The reason being is you have quite a few int units, and Goku does a lot of damage to int units, basically. The friend agility trunks, or Great Saiyaman Jr., whatever you want to call him, he also really struggles, the friend one, because he doesn't have any hidden potential system. So his stats are like a solid 40% down on the trunks that you were going to have. And because of this, he can take quite a bit of damage. So you're either going to want to prioritize getting him orbs, or what I did was I prioritized giving him orbs, but I just floated him off into the third slot because I just couldn't deal with the amount of damage that he took, and it was causing a lot of problems. The next tip that you're going to want to do is, while you are doing these events, you are going to actually want to incrementally raise or awaken the Goku and the Vegeta. The reason you're going to want to do this is because, quite frankly, it just helps. The Goku and the Vegeta gain a little bit of HP each time, maxing out an additional 2,500 HP, which, when you're dealing with a health pool of 1,100, 110,000, 115,000, it's almost a solid 5% increase. Plus their defense, mitigating an extra 2,000 and something attack damage each time, really adds up, especially if they're each going to take, on average 2 hits per run. You've saved yourself a solid 10,000 damage right there. Another tip, obviously, also is that you're going to want to float them off, or you're going to want to get super attacks. Especially with Goku, you're going to either need to get him super attacks or put him into the slot where he doesn't get attacked. Otherwise, his defense won't kick in, and you won't be able to do anything about it. So, yeah. But if you follow those tips, you should be perfectly fine. You may catch an unlucky super here or there, and you may take some damage. But generally speaking, keep the friend Trunks out of harm's way. Keep the Goku and the Vegeta out of harm's way. Focus on grabbing same type orbs. Grab rainbow orbs with ghost tanks, and you should cope just about right. Along with the incremental upgrades to Vegeta and Goku, you should be getting enough stats to help you out in the later stages. At least that's what I would suggest. Obviously, also, you're going to need to awaken them, so you're going to have to do that. You can put life equipment on your free-to-play units. That is also going to help you, because that's going to give you a larger health pool. Or you can stick some defensive equipment on the Goku and the Vegeta. Whatever you want to do, you're welcome to do. I suggest popping some equipment on if you're really concerned and you're still struggling. It can really help. Even popping a 500 health equipment on everyone on your team, that's another 3,000 health, plus more on the youth units. So you're looking at giving yourself possibly another 5% health right there, and that extra 10% between them and the Goku and Vegeta upgrading is really going to help you out in just surviving some of those close calls. Alternatively, you can also always put some defensive equipment on your units or recovery items. Just remember, whatever you put on Goku and Vegeta, because they don't fall under the leader skill, is going to be a straight numbers upgrade. So a 400 health increase is a 400 health increase. A 500 health increase is a 500 health increase. They're not under any of the leader skills because you're running double agility trunks. So keep that in mind. And yeah, otherwise you can grab question marks. Obviously, very big benefit. They help you reduce the amount of time that you are farming for quite substantially, and they really help you out. And yeah, that's kind of like my tips that are going off right now. In terms of the actual stages themselves, the first ones are not too bad. You shouldn't have many problems with the first difficulty of these stages. The Goku and the Vegeta just don't hit that hard, and they are missing that little bit of damage to make you kind of go like whoa and just kind of take a step back. But you are to be wary of them. Make sure that Goku supers, make sure that you put Vegeta and Goku in the right slots. Just be careful about the friend Trunks. Like I say, he has even less defense than a Rainbow Vegeta. So sometimes you can actually slot Vegeta in, especially if the unit is attacking beforehand, and you'll be able to reduce a lot more damage having Vegeta front tank the 2 attacks before him than the friend Agility Trunks, who, if he doesn't super, basically can't stack his defense. So you just need to keep that in mind as well. But Ghost Tanks is going to be your MVP. He's going to carry you for large portions of this fight. He does it all, as we all know. He has decent defense, especially if he starts getting some orbs and some rainbow orbs. And yeah, he should be perfectly fine for the stage. In fact, he was one of the best performers. Even the Goku event where he has type disadvantage, he was still one of the best performers. So yeah. But we've done both rounds on Z-Hard, so we will jump back in and try the stage out on the final difficulty. So yeah, we'll just quickly jump in here. We'll try out these stages on the final difficulty, and then we will quickly go through the units afterwards, but we'll probably take a closer look at the units in the final review. Like I said, B-Pan really is a super solid option. Her healing as well really makes her a viable unit to use in these stages. But you can't rely on having a unit like B-Pan. At least a lot of players can't, because the easiest time to get her was at the 4th year anniversary. So what we'll do is we'll complete all of the challenges without B-Pan. Make a strategy in terms of, kind of taking the stage on without her, and then we'll see from there. If you have B-Pan, definitely use her. For the Vegeta event and the Goku event, I would slot her in over Bulma more than likely, since you have to take Goku and Vegeta. But yeah, you could easily take both of them if you wish. It's all gonna be completely up to you. But Bulma is a solid choice still. She obviously has her chance to evade, which is super helpful. Plus she stacks her defense and attack over time, up to 4 turns on her SA, which makes her quite reliable. So I wouldn't say Bulma is a terrible choice, just the B-Pan will be better. She's got the active skill, she's got the heal, she's got higher stats, which gives you a bit of a higher HP. She's just a lot more solid a unit to take into this stage. But yeah, the Vegeta fight is definitely not, I don't want to say it's not as hard as the Goku's, it is still quite challenging. But the Goku one, obviously he has quite an extensive type advantage against some of the units in our team, whereas the Vegeta doesn't actually have type advantage against any of our units, which makes his fight not easier, but certainly much more manageable. Even though the Int units are the better units on the team, they can still obviously get hit really hard by Goku. But Ghost Tanks is super solid as well, so he does perfectly fine. This Great Saiyaman Jr. Trunks, or whatever his actual name is, I can't really, pretty certain it's Great Saiyaman Kid or something like that. He is really solid, but he can take quite a bit of damage, especially in this difficulty on the first turn, and especially before he super attacks or manages to get off any additionals or anything and builds up that defense slightly. He isn't terrible, but he definitely can take some damage in that first slot. So ideally, you're going to want to push someone else there to take that damage. But yeah, he still does some decent damage, which is really good. And his crit chance can obviously help quite extensively. So we do need to keep that in mind when we are factoring him in and starting him into the team. But as usual, obviously we take the friend one and we put him on rotation, because we don't want that stinky thing in our team. That's for certain. But yeah, I mean, it is going to be a little bit challenging, and you might fail a couple times. I myself, I put the orbs in and everything into these guys. I failed a couple times. I failed, I think, once on each one, or once on Vegeta and twice on Goku. So I mean, it can happen. You know, it's sometimes you get super unlucky. I even failed when I was testing out how B-Pan did in the stage. So, I mean, you know, it can still happen. Just don't worry about it. You will eventually get there. Just keep making the right decisions and the best calls, and you'll easily eventually get through to the stage. So don't panic too much. Don't stress out or anything. And just make sure or try your best to win when you get the question marks, and you should catch up and make time more than well enough. But yeah, we'll take on the Goku stage now. Like I said, the Goku one is slightly more challenging just because he's obviously physical type, and that means he has an innate advantage against Bulma and against Ghost Tanks in our team. Fortunately, Ghost Tanks is so powerful that he doesn't actually take that much damage, which is good. It is very, very good, but we do rely a little bit on the healing from Ghost Tanks, and obviously ideally we want Goku to super him after he's supered so that he can get his one turn stack of his attack and defense as well. So we do need to keep that in mind, but genuinely this is probably the best attempt. You will probably fail Goku more than you fail Vegeta, just because of this type advantage that he has. Obviously if you have the B-Pan, or if you even have the strength Gotenks or the physical Gotenks, the two summonable units, you can definitely slot them in for the Bulma, or even the Candy Vegeta, because they'll both fit under the lead. Obviously on the global side we can only use the one, but yeah, please definitely obviously remember that and factor them in. Hopefully you have them easy aid, but if you don't, then obviously maybe it's just better to go with this free to play team, because they're not, I mean, they're okay without their easy aid. They'll still give you good stats, but they're not, you know, probably as reliable as they would be after their easy A's. But yeah, that's really about it. We obviously can't stun Vegeta or seal Vegeta or stun Goku or seal Goku, so we realistically just damaging and racing against the clock, man, and just making sure that we take as little damage as possible, mitigate our damage, and just kind of roll with our teams as best we can. In terms of, you know, like I say, equipment, I would just put on life equipment, give myself a little bit of an extra buffer. It's always frustrating to lose these kind of stages because you caught a 68,000 damage super attack, and then couldn't prevent damage on the follow-up, and lose by like 1,000 health points when you would have just needed one more attack to win. So the best thing to do is obviously to just flesh out life. It's also the least used equipment, so you can probably have tons and slot it onto your free-to-play units to really help yourself out in terms of improving your chances at clearing the stage. But beyond that, that's really it from me. Ghost Tanks, I think, will finish us off here, or get pretty close to doing so. And yeah, that's honestly as good as it gets. So you can do this event without B-Pan. You can do it without the two summonable cards, but you're going to need it pretty optimized and a little bit of gear on your team as well. And like I said, please incrementally, I didn't hear, but please incrementally upgrade your units. That extra health is really, really going to help you in terms of doing well on the stage. But yeah, we'll just quickly take a brief look at the units and how they change with their EZAs. And then we will call it here, and you will probably next see them in a review video or maybe an SBR video by myself. So let's just quickly take a look at the units. They're basically the same, they're just the inverse of each other. So Vegeta has defense at the start of turn and Goku does not, he gains it on his super. So Vegeta is 88% defense at the start of turn with 88% attack when supering, and he gains an additional 88% when fighting superclass enemies, and Goku is just the inverse. But yeah, thanks for watching guys, and I'll check you in the next video. Until then, bye!